This is what you've all been waiting for. We are giving away a $50,000 prize package that's been sponsored by Purple Orange Ventures. We have EVB, which is Evolution Bureau, as well as WeWork. So I'm going to bring up our live jury, introduce them, and then we're going to get started. Y'all ready? Can I get like an emoji here? Everybody pumped? Okay. So Caroline Cormier, come on up. Oh, now we're flooded. Now I see we're just totally flooded on here. Caroline, hello. Well, I would say we have gotten 98% of the connection right. So that's pretty exciting, especially with you joining all the way from, you want to tell everybody?
London. It's quite dark outside, but glad to be here. It has been a very, very exciting day, I must admit.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, all the different innovations that are out there. And there's just like so many spaces. I think the baby space is a big one that we've heard about today. So much still to come.
No, and that's great. And I think congratulations to everything. I really love the voice sessions, and I think it's great to be able to give an opportunity to everyone. And to bring new products. So yeah, fantastic.
Amazing.
Can't wait to listen to everything.
Okay, well, let's bring up Jewel Sparks. Let's add you to the panel here.
Hello.
Hey, Jewel.
Hi.
Can you see us okay?
Yes, can you see me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine. Can everybody see Jewel? Yeah? Are we seeing Jewel? Okay, we're gonna try bringing Jewel back up in a second. She's joining from Berlin and has a little bit of choppy internet. So let's bring up Mireille Zaki. Mireille, oh, we've got Jewel coming back up again. All right, let's try Mireille. Hello, how are you?
Excellent. Also in London, stuck here after the lockdown, but it's all good. Great to be on today and really, really enjoyed it. It's kind of the first refreshing, all-encompassing conference I've attended, definitely since COVID. So thank you for putting this together. It's awesome.
Awesome. Which area did you find most interesting?
I love the mix between the interviews, the presentations, the breakout sessions. The topics were very much on target and differentiated between the cell-based, the plant-based, the baby foods, the ice cream, the desserts. It was all very, very exciting and interesting. And I actually learned quite a few things, which is quite unusual after seeing 1,400 investment opportunities this year alone. So this space is booming.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, from a prolific investor like yourself, that is a good compliment. Okay. All right, let's add Regina Hecker to the stage. Regina, also joining us from Europe. Hello, Regina.
Hello, Jennifer. Hello, everyone. Great to be on stage.
How are you doing? And tell everyone where you're joining from.
Yeah, I'm joining also from Europe, not London, but Switzerland. So pretty dark outside, I can confirm. But it's been, really congratulations from my side as well. It's been fantastic. And I'm looking forward to hear the pitches.
Awesome. Okay, Lisa Ferrier, let's bring you up.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
Excited to be here.
How are you?
Good. I'm here to bring the light, clearly.
Well, you are not. You're not in Europe.
I am not. I am in Kansas City, USA, so very much in the center of the country and still in the day. But I'm excited to be here with such amazing, incredible, talented women, and I can't wait to meet more amazing, incredible, talented entrepreneurs.
Awesome. All right. Should we try Jewel one more time? No, Jewel's telling me Berlin's got a little bit of dicey internet. Jewel, can we see you? Can you hear us? No? Okay. So we'll bring Jewel back down and we'll try bringing her up again after this first pitch competition. The good news is everybody can watch the pitch comp, including Jewel, while we work on her internet. Sound good, everybody?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, ladies, I am going to bring up our first pitcher. Ronanna Krebs, let's bring you up to the stage. And Ronanna is going to be joining us also from quite far away. Hello, how are you?
Hello, good. Actually, here is it. I'm also in Europe, in Germany, in Berlin.
Okay.
So, yes, in Europe
Got all
as
the
well.
good internet. Okay.
Yes, let's hope so.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'm going to hop off. And Ronanna, you have 15 minutes to tell us how you are building a plant-based world with AlgaLife.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay, so I just need my slide though on the deck. I think Frank's supposed to handle, or Florian, the deck.
Or you just write it on a napkin. You know, we're used to it. It's okay.
No, I can do it without any slide. It's just usually.
There you go.
We're bringing it up in
Yeah,
one
that's all.
second here.
Perfect.
We were just trying to get Jewel back on, but it appears.
Perfect.
Okay, so it's going to pop up in just 1 second. And just hold tight, ladies.
Yay, great. Okay, yes, for the first slide would be great to start with. No, the first one is like the one. Yes. One back. Yay. Good. So breathe in and we will start. So hello, everyone. My name is Ronanna Krebs. I'm the CEO and co-founder of AlgaLife. Next slide. I work more than 15 years in the fashion industry as a senior designer, so everything behind the scene through my own eyes. Next slide. And I found out that textile is one of the biggest polluting industry in the world, second only to oil. 20% of the global fresh water is polluted due to dyeing processes, and 10% of the chemicals is transferring to our skin and body. And next slide, please. So I realized we must be part of the solution to redesign the entire textile industry from within, to unlock the power of nature, to rethink of what a good product is. Next slide. So look at this. At Algae, we have patented unique vegan algae-based formulation. Next slide. With this formulation, we are creating fibers, yarns, and dyes simultaneously with zero waste. You can go to the next slide. So in this slide, you can basically see our color range made from our formulation. I'll say later on the samples. In the next slide, you can also see the color range. Another one is a continue of the color range. And it's important to say that we can print and dye on all types of fabrics. In the next slide, what you see here is our fibers, our yarn, made from the same formulation. This is already our second generation of a yarn that have already the color of the algae inside, which means we are eliminating steps in the production. In the next slide, you can see some of the fabrics as well in the next one, the next slide. And we are creating good fabrics from the inside out. In the next slide. Do you know how much water needed for one t-shirt you are wearing right now? If it's cotton, 2,600 liter water. If it's wool, 5,000 liters of water. If you will use our technology, you will save more than 80% of the water consumption. In addition to that, in the next slide, we are leveraging the benefits of the algae to nourish and protect the body and the skin with antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antiviral. And in the next slide, we are closing the loop, making it shorter, cleaner, and cost-efficient. Well, in the next slide, you can really see the triple good solution. And why? Because this is a healthy vegan process for the B2B with a tailor-made product, with a cost-efficient, and of course, earned in water as well, a healthy working environment for all employees around the globe, which you usually do not know who they are. It's also a healthy product for the end users with nourishing the body and the skin with allergen-free, chemical-free, and also we have a long list of benefits for our environment. But if I need to choose one, it's all about clean water and preventing of water pollution globally. Well, on top of that, in the next slide, our solution is a drop-in solution. No need to change the machinery in the factories. No need to change manpower. Just need to change the ingredients. Simple as that. So next slide is our target market, which is $290 billion, focusing on second skin garment. In the next slide, we're talking about underwear, activewear, sportwear, leisure, men, women, kids, and babies. And our future markets are in the hygiene and pharma, automotive, home textile, and we're already piloting with the biggest players in the industry. And we are going to launch in the end of the month our triple good mask. So we can go to the next one now, please. Yeah. So and then the next follow. And I would say how much it costs, right? So for 1 kilo, we are selling today in a pilot stage, it's $55. When we are going to scale by 2023, it will drop to $20 per kilo. Therefore, our revenue stream in the next slide is coming from the product selling and, of course, royalties from the productions. In the next slide. Well, our amazing team is built mainly from women and mix of ages and disciplines from design, engineering, biology, biotechnology, and biochemistry together with the advisory board coming from different parts of the supply chain. We have the overview of the needs of the entire supply chain. Well, next slide, please. So this is indeed a triple good solution. This is much more than a business. We enable a scalable, vegan, healthy solution for entire industries, for future generation as a force for good. So the last slide is that I will be more than honored to invite you to Aging the Future together. And thank you for listening. I will be more than happy to answer questions right now. Yeah, Mirat.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for the amazing presentation. I personally enjoyed it a lot. And congratulations on your development of a truly innovative product that is solving a problem without creating one. The problem with a lot of alternatives, as you know, is that, when you create it, you're creating a problem in its supply chain. Whereas what you've done is solve the problem without creating another one. So congratulations on that, about that. I have two questions for you. How did you compare, first of all, your production of both the fibers as well as the colors or the dyes? How do you do that? Is it sort of some sort of IP or patents, or is it trade secrets that you have internally? And then the second set of questions that I have is basically on how does the pricing compare to whatever else is in the market? You said $35 is ultimately where you want to sell per kilogram, but pricing in the fiber market is typically, as you know, per yard or something like that. And in the dye, it's by weight or by intensity. So how do you compare and contrast as well? Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for this really great question. So first of all, I will go to the IP. So what we are doing, we have created patented formulation. A formulation. So we are selling this by the kilo. With this formulation, we can create we are creating both dyes and fibers, which means that just an example, we just scale with the manufacturer. So we send them like 20 kilos of our dye stuff. Therefore, they do not need to change anything in the supply chain, in their machinery. So they just got our dyes and they just plug and play in their machinery. So basically, we have patented. We are doing it ourselves in our manufacturer. So this is basically, we have 2 patents already registered, and we are now writing the 3rd one on the new generation. This is about the IP question. So, and it goes parallel for both fibers and dyes. And regarding the cost, so here as well, we are an ingredient company, which means that we are sending and replacing the ingredients. For example, so instead of buying a kilo of chemical dye stuff, they're buying our vegan, healthy dye stuff. And this is comparable. For example, a green color can be sold in the market between $35 to $70 per kilo, and we are selling it right now in 55. And once we're going to scale it up to 50 ton, it's going to be $20 per kilo. And this is really was a huge step for us, because it's even saving cost. And to be honest, this is not the only cost that they are going to save, because they're going to use less water, less energy. And so this is definitely, I call it like a long-term relationship about saving. And this is where I'm coming from.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, Ronanna. It was very, very interesting indeed. Just on that last point you mentioned in terms of cost efficiency and the fact that the manufacturer would save additional money on and profitability on water, etc. What do you think is the biggest barrier for adoption? So when you have the conversation and when you think about scaling up, I mean, if it's profitable for the manufacturers, if it's good for the environment, etc. So where do you think that that limitation is?
So I'm very happy to say, because after, I mean, it's not after, but current COVID era, I mean, it's really changed, I would say, the perspective, because we have right now on our waiting list 62 brands, from really like the biggest brand we could ever dream of. So it's already in our pipeline, 62 brands that they don't even ask about the price. They just wanted to know when it could be available. So we see right now that it's for us basically just to scale, to grow in enough speed in order to really to be in that. But I think in all, the most important for us is to really scale in the right way. This is the most important thing for us, because we also see it globally and a local production as well, because it's definitely doable. So for us, it's basically to really now scale what we have and really perform it. So this is basically the growth part right now. And we also see it also not only in textile, we also see it in hygiene and pharma. We also see it automotive. We see how, I mean, we just started with 2016, it was like, okay, it's nice, it's very impressive. Now we see this like it's in every company's brief to have a different, healthy, honest solution. And this is what we are bringing to here. And I think this is also why it's really catched lots of companies at the same time.
This is such a great problem to solve. Congratulations for really tackling something huge and meaningful. I mean, just making changes in this direction could impact so many things in our world. So I love that you are not afraid to really tackle a gigantic problem with a very creative and smart solution. Kind of similarly to the train of thought, I would love to understand your long-term vision. So assuming this becomes, larger than anything out there, what is this? Who is your target customer out there? Where do you want to get into? What is your really big vision for this company?
Great. So look around you. Everything you look around, from your clothes to your desk, to your window behind you, to your curtain, it's all made from fiber and from color. And this is what we are doing. And this is why we have, with our formulation, we have the ability to customizing our product for specific needs. And I think this is the bigger vision, to really alging the future, not only in one industry, but to really have it as something which is going to exist in any industries. And it's something, it's not only a dream. We also see the fruits of this, let's say, vision. So I think this is basically the aim, is to really introduce that when people think question, they will ask, who made my clothes? Who made my food? Who made my car? I mean, there is so many things that people starting. I'm happy to say they are starting to ask all those important questions, and we see the result. And I think this is the bigger vision, to really bring people to act together with us as a movement to really alging our future.
Amen. I love that.
It sounds fantastic. I can only agree. I'm a bit eager to learn more about the fiber that you mentioned. I mean, from what I understand right now, you focus first on the formulation, so it's all 100% algae biomass, and then you separate out the coloring components. You separate out the fiber and formulate it to the required functionalities. Is that the right understanding, or how would you phrase it?
So I think it's a really important question because it's the essence. So I'm happy you asked this question. So what we're doing is a formulation, algae vegan based formulation. This formulation fits to create dyes and to create fiber. So basically also in the fiber, we're not changing the machinery. We're just changing the ingredients. So also here we do not separate. We're using the algae. I mean, this is the second generation. And why? Because it's already combined the color of the algae and the fiber itself made from algae. So we have basically here a win-win situation, eliminating steps of coloring this, but using the whole algae as a product. And this is basically what we are doing. So yes, we have patent on our formulation, but we have also patents on our product, which is in the end, it's a drop-in solution. So just think of just changing the ingredient. Instead of having the cotton or instead of having the chemical dye, they're just plug in our formulation instead of theirs.
Amazing.
Very nice. Very nice.
Well done, Ronanna. Very good.
Thank you. It was an honor to speak with you today. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ronanna. Hello, Jury. You hanging in there?
Yes.
Okay. We're ready for the next one. So I have a quick note for everyone. Unfortunately, we're not sure if we're going to be able to bring up Jewel. We will try once again. Nonetheless, she will be here to deliberate. So, all right, Jewel, can we get you up?
Hello.
Okay. So you can hear us? We just can't see you. Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. So we will have Jewel listening in. And let's bring up our next pitcher, Isabella Iglesias Musacchio. All right. Okay, Isabella, the floor is yours. I'm going to away and let's bring up your deck.
Okay, sounds good. Hi, I'm Isabella, the CEO of Kinoko Labs. You can go to next slide. Yeah. It's been my dream to start a food tech company since I took my first environmental science course and learned about our broken food system, factory farming, and the devastating climate crisis. That was over 13 years ago. And what I've learned since then is that we cannot afford to sit and wait for others to make the changes we want to see in the world. I'm here today because I believe we can create a more sustainable and equitable food system and end our reliance on animals for food. We all know, next slide. We all know the challenge we're facing is that by 2050, we need to feed upwards of 10 billion people on finite resources. I don't need to quote for you the statistics on how factory farming contributes heavily to climate change and the degradation of our planet. Today, both plant and cell-based companies are rising to meet this challenge, all racing to make the best meat alternatives to traditional animal products. However, there are major drawbacks to both of these approaches. The biggest challenges with the cell-based approach is that the equipment and materials needed to start up and scale are extremely capital intensive. This means it's a long and difficult road to bring these products to market. The R&D required, coupled with the regulatory barriers, only exacerbate how long it will take to get these products in front of consumers. And once they do reach the market, they face the hurdle of consumer resistance. On the other hand, you have your plant-based meat alternatives. The drawbacks here are that the R&D and equipment costs needed are for engineering vegetable protein to mimic meat are extremely high, making it difficult to scale. Furthermore, the alternatives available today are perceived as ultra-processed and not healthy. And it's true, these are highly engineered food products, and their nutrition as well as their amino acid profile is sometimes not much healthier than meat. Lastly, today's meat alternatives are mostly burgers, sausages, and nuggets, but there are barely any whole muscle products available. This leaves the highest margin and most desirable segment of the market largely underserved. However, I'm here to tell you, I believe there's a third and more practical way to feed our planet, and deliver better meat substitutes to consumers. At Kinoko Labs, our solution is to create healthier, nutrient-dense, and minimally processed whole-cut meat and fish alternatives grown naturally from fungal mycelium. The groundbreaking potential of mycelium is that it can be produced using fermentation techniques and equipment that have been used and optimized for food production for decades. This translates to far less capital needed to start up, as well as an easier and faster path to scaling and getting our products on the market. Using microbial biomass fermentation, we will be able to grow our raw ingredient in a matter of hours, as opposed to weeks or months in the case of plant and cell-based meats. Furthermore, we can produce our ingredients with a benign carbon footprint using indoor urban agriculture, irrespective of climate and landscape limitations. Lastly, consumers have already proved their acceptance of fungi-based alternatives, with products like corn and tempeh being sold for decades. And that's just the potential of this technology. The value we'll bring to consumers is offering clean image, minimally processed whole cuts that deliver on the entire taste experience. The filamentous structure and inherent meat-like texture of mycelium lends itself perfectly to creating whole muscle substitutes without the need for a long list of texturizers, fillers, and binders that you find in most plant-based options. Next, mycelium is protein-rich with a complete amino acid profile on par with that of animal protein and unmatched by that of plants, as well as being high in fiber and micronutrients. As a result, by leveraging the rapid growth rate of filamentous fungi with the lower production costs, we can ultimately be price competitive with animal-based meat sooner. There are a handful of other fungi-based whole-cut meat companies in the space. However, all three are based in the US and they are not yet fully commercialized. The point is that the field is nascent in the United States and even more so in Europe. Our USP is that Kinoko Labs will be the first European company focusing entirely on the whole muscle segment, and we'll start with our flagship product of steak. The growth potential for meat alternatives is very high, particularly in Western Europe, home to our target market here in Germany. In 2019, the total addressable market was 12 billion, and today has a projected CAGR of 15%. By comparison, the global meat market itself is only predicted to grow by 3% per year. Of the German market, we project our share to be 21.9 million by 2025, with additional revenue potential by expanding to other European markets such as the UK, Netherlands, and France. Our go-to-market strategy is to first partner with chefs, thought leaders, and restaurants who share the same mission of making the future of food more sustainable and nutritious. We will then launch our direct-to-consumer channel as well as a retail launch the following year. So who's our team? Elena is an internationally trained food scientist with a background in microbial fermentation as well. Fatima has a PhD in food science and technology, and she also has a background in fungi and microbial cultivations. I come from a background of sustainable development in agriculture, and I've spent my career thus far leading ag tech and startups to scale their operations internationally to markets in the US, Asia, and Europe. Our dream is that one day our future generations will look back at this point in history as an inflection point, when we decided to wake up to nature's technology and radically improve our food system. We hope you'll join us on this journey. Thank you.
All right, I can go first. Excellent job. I mean, if we had entrepreneurs that were as prepared as the two of you, you make our life so much easier. So very nice job with the presentation. I just have one question. What would you articulate your point of sustainable competitive advantage as?
I mean, I would say there's a few points of sustainable advantage. I mean, in comparison to meat or comparison to plant-based alternatives.
More like plant-based alternatives, competitors to you.
Okay, cool. So I think there's a few aspects. One of them is just the fact that we can grow our ingredient through a fermentation platform. That means that we can actually grow the ingredient through indoor urban agriculture. This means that the carbon footprint in comparison to other plant-based proteins like pea or soy is actually much, much lower. Also, because we can grow with indoor urban agriculture, we don't have to use as much water. You're also not taking up land. And so the competitive advantage is a lot in terms of the water intensive in the water usage, for example. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very, very interesting presentation. Thank you, Isabella. I think it's spot on. We can all do a better job to improve the nutrition profile of alternatives we have. So I think seeing mushrooms, seeing algae is always very close to my heart. So well done. In terms of the mycelium that you're using, how are you thinking about this being the one ingredient for the burger? How do you think about compounding it with other ingredients? And also, you mentioned pea. We have soy, of course, in the market, which is always very price competitive. What are your thoughts and planning around cost of goods for mycelium-based burger? So this would be the package. So
okay,
thanks for that.
So I'll start with your first question in terms of what would be the ingredients for the product. So honestly, we would expect for the raw ingredient, the mycelium or the mycoprotein, to be 85% at least of the actual total ingredient. On top of that, we would add other flavoring in terms of how we would marinate the product, because we want to do a line of steaks, steaks, fillets, and cutlets from different meats and different fish segments. And so we'll use flavorings on top of that, but all of that can be done using natural ingredients. And so really the bulk of the product is mycelium. So it's very protein rich, it's rich in fiber, and you don't need to add all of the texturizers, the fillers, and the binders that make up a lot of that ingredient label that you see in the plant-based options, actually, which is why oftentimes the soy or the protein isolate from pea is at a minor percent in comparison to what we could make with mycelium. In terms of the cost of goods, like you said, the question was, how do we see being price competitive with soy and pea? Is that it?
Yes.
So if you take a look, one of the slides that I had showed before was just showcasing the cost of burger patties, from cell-based to plant-based to fungi to conventional meat. And one of the products that we can actually use as an indicator in terms of how price competitive a fungi-based product could be is corn. Corn's been on the market for 40 years already, and they're pretty much one of the only. They are the only player actually on the market today. And they're actually pretty much half the price of what most plant-based alternatives are. And the reason that they can do that, I think, is really due to the fact that, one, the ingredient that we're growing is something that we can grow ourselves. We're not dependent on other industries like the soy and protein industry, or soy and pea protein industry is, because those are byproducts actually of the feedstock industry or the soy oil industry, for example. Most of the startups that are in the space, like even Beyond Burger or Beyond and Impossible, which are these huge, amazing companies, they're still kind of smaller players in comparison to other large food manufacturing companies. So they can't really demand better prices for those ingredients. I think growing our own ingredients would give us that competitive advantage, and just through the power of fermentation, where you have this self-replicating microorganism, which is amazing. And then the last thing I'll say in terms of cost of goods, and where I think it can be price competitive, is really when it comes down to the equipment that we can use and the fermentation techniques. So we don't have to, develop novel bioreactors or novel cell culture media, or even buy really, really expensive, texturized protein equipment like you do for plant-based options. A lot of the equipment we can use, you can actually borrow from the brewing industry, which are very much more price competitive in comparison to the cell-based industry, for example. So I think that can really bring down the cost of goods. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Isabella, for the presentation, and clearly the passion that's coming in terms of finding a new, more sustainable way of doing it. In terms of how you see the development of the opportunity in your case and for Kinoko Labs. So what would be the next steps in terms of manufacturing, in terms of partnerships, et cetera, So how would you envisage scaling it up and being able to develop the product and scale it?
Yeah, good question. So where we're at today is the R&D phase, and where I hope to be within the next 2 years is finishing our proof of concept and being able to have a working prototype within the next 18 months. Within 24 months, I would like to be on the market here in Germany. And I briefly mentioned it at the end of my presentation, but basically our go-to-market strategy will be to first just partner up with the local food system here, be working with restaurants and thought leaders and different chefs to really start getting our product out there and getting feedback as well from consumers. And then we plan to launch our D2C platform. And that's where we would be able to start getting a customer base here in Germany and really gaining a following and getting feedback to refine our products as well. After that, my target is to go with the leading supermarket retailers in Germany. So that's Edeka, Rewe, and then the Schwarz Group, such as Lidl. And so partnerships that are possible there are really with those first three major retailers here in Germany. And then beyond there, I would want to expand to the other major regions in Western Europe that are really, really big for meat substitutes. That's the UK, Netherlands, and France. In terms of institutional partnerships, I would be targeting some of the research institutions within Europe that are really pushing the forefront of this type of research. That's a lot of institutions that are in the Netherlands, for example, Wageningen and Utrecht University. I would be wanting to partner, and I already have some contacts at various universities there, so that we can really be kind of piggybacking on the research that's already being done in schools today. And also that's where we can start looking for some of our first team members to join us as well. On top of that, just based in Berlin, in our own hometown, we have the Technical University of Berlin here, which is one of the best universities also working with microbial biomass fermentation. I think there's a lot more beyond that, but I don't know if I'm going to run out of time. Does that answer your question? Or?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
All right. So we have a quick question from Jewel, who unfortunately has a little bit of a weak connection. She'd like to know if you have any patents.
No, so as of today, we don't have any patents yet. That would be something that we want to develop when we basically have the next 18 to 24 months is what I've projected as where we define our fermentation, production, and processing methods. That's where, on the one hand, we're going to be producing our mycelium, and then on the other hand, we start processing that mycelium into the end product. And it's through those different stages that we can then really kind of develop our patents. It's once we develop those methods. Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Isabella. It's a wonderful presentation. We will potentially see you again soon.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Courtney Blagrove. She is going to be joining we are now stateside. We're going to be joining with a New Yorker this time. All right, Courtney, let's welcome you up to the stage. Hi, Courtney, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
We are so excited to hear your pitch. I'm going to pop away now for just a little bit, and we're going to bring up your deck.
Great.
Oh, yum.
All right. Courtney, you can begin.
I can begin? Okay. Hi, my name is Courtney, co-founder of Whipped Urban Dessert Lab, and we are changing the way people think and feel about a world favorite treat, ice cream. Now, if I ask someone to describe ice cream, they most likely would define it as a frozen, smooth, creamy treat made from milk. And I have real in quotations here because the average consumer associates real ice cream as a product that uses dairy. In fact, particularly in the United States, legally, a frozen dessert can only be called ice cream if it contains milk solids. And in the US alone, ice cream is an $11 billion industry. Next slide. Next slide, please. On average, Americans consume more than 23 pounds of ice cream, but this creamy treat is not just an American favorite. Next slide, please. In the United States, Americans consume more than 23 pounds, and in China, ice cream revenue was expected to reach $6.5 billion. In New Zealand, the average consumer consumes around 23 liters of ice cream, Australia, 18 liters of ice cream, and Denmark is the fourth largest ice cream consumer in the world. So if globally ice cream is loved by everyone, what's the problem? Well, I'm going to share with you two major problems. Next slide, please. 65% of the world's population are lactose intolerant, and that number is even higher for certain racial and ethnic groups such as African Americans and Asians. Over 75% of African Americans can't tolerate lactose, and that number increases to 90% for Asians. This significant lactose intolerance issue is coupled with the shifting trends toward vegan lifestyles. Next slide. Because of these two issues, major companies have finally started to create dairy-free ice creams, and as a result, this market is said to be worth $1 billion by 2024. So the problem is solved, right? Well, not quite, because there are two major issues with the majority of the dairy-free ice creams currently on the market. Next slide. Issue one is that the taste and texture is sacrificed. They are commonly described as icy with an odd aftertaste, and coconut milk, which is it's commonly used as the base, has a very strong and overpowering flavor. The culmination of these issues are significant reasons why there is a bias against vegan ice cream that prevents people from even wanting to try it. So what you are seeing on this next slide are real comments that are taken from Instagram on a post that had a photo of vegan ice cream. We have long live real ice cream, confused when ice cream needed to be vegan. It looked so good until I read vegan. You see, because of the taste and the texture, people assume the worst about plant-based desserts based on their prior experiences. Next slide. The other major issue relates to the main ingredients of top brands currently on the market, and that is nuts. Globally, 250 million people suffer from a food allergy, yet they use nut milks such as almond and cashew, which makes it inaccessible for people with nut allergies. Coconut is also considered a tree nut and allergen by the FDA. So how are we addressing these issues? Next slide. We are using oats, and we have developed a proprietary formula that results in a smooth, creamy, indulgent texture that not only rivals the current non-dairy ice creams on the market, but also dairy ice cream. And here's our proof. Next slide. These are real reviews of our product, and it's only a very small snapshot of the amazing feedback we have received. I never knew vegan ice cream could be so delicious. It's so creamy and rich, but not overly heavy. Hands down, the best soft serve. Next slide. I'm by no means a vegan, but a lover of ice cream. It doesn't even taste vegan. I've never had soft serve before, and I'm saying that I'm pleasantly surprised. So just as a recap, next slide, please. Traditional non-dairy ice cream has an icy texture, odd aftertaste, and they use ingredients such as coconut, almond, cashew, or they do use oats, but they blend it with coconut or cashew. In contrast, our product has a creamy texture, milky taste, no coconut, and no nuts or tree nuts. Our product is also versatile and scalable, and it can be divided into 3 different categories. That is soft serve, hard scoop, and liquid base. Our current next slide, please. Next slide, please. Our current retail model is actually an extremely effective market research tool, and it gives us a unique advantage because it allows in-person customer engagement. Next slide, please. Where our product can be tried in a smaller size, but it also allows immediate feedback from the consumer. Moreover, because we are located in New York City, which in general gets over 13 million international visitors a year, the feedback we get are from people with various global palates, and this matters because as we expand, we know that our product is suited for palates all over the world. Because of the popularity of our soft serve, next slide, please. We are releasing a hard scoops version this month. So this version is suitable for nationwide shipping, and it allows customers who are unable to come to our retail location experience our treat in the comfort of their own home. Next slide. Lastly, major fast food chains have finally debuted plant-based menu items using Impossible, Beyond, Just Egg, but the plant-based dessert offerings are slim to none. Therefore, our liquid base is perfect for businesses looking to offer a plant-based dessert. Our base is dairy-free, egg-free, gluten-free, soy-free, and nut-free, and the neutral base allows addition of desired flavors and mix-ins. Next slide. The founders of Whipped are myself and Zainabu Ramallah, who is also a Black female, and together we have over 20 years of combined experience in the scientific, legal, and business arena. Our company has also been featured in various publications such as Refinery 29 and Veg News, but this is only the beginning. Next slide. Our product is unique, exciting, and we are truly changing the way people think about non-dairy ice cream. So please join us in our journey and get whipped. Thank you.
Excellent, Courtney. Thank you so much for the presentation. I'm hungry now.
100%.
No, it's I think a very interesting positioning you have. I mean, I'm a fan of oats, so that is also very appealing. I think it's similar to the challenge we have with cheese, right? There are, of course, vegan cheeses on the market, but they are not yet convincing, especially to non-vegan people, that they fall in love with it and say, okay, I want to go for it. So I think you have a very nice opportunity there in front of you. One question I have, you mentioned that you're now branching out into the 3 categories, if you will, the soft serve, and the harder version, and the liquid base. How do you see that all come together? What's your bigger vision? Is it the liquid serve that will kind of skyrocket you in terms of economics? I don't have, I think, the understanding really of the market to see, okay, what is your strategy there? Where do you want to emphasize and grow and roll it out?
Yes, so right now we actually have a brick and mortar location located in New York City. So right now we are actually doing the retail model as we speak. This month we are going to launch nationwide shipping. And that's important for us because we're not in grocery stores yet, and that's probably something we will plan for the future. Getting the product to people who are not able to come into a retail store is another sales channel that is very important for us in terms of brand awareness and people understanding the other products that we will eventually offer. So in terms of the B2B sales, that's something we're definitely going to do in the future. But right now our focus is the retail because, again, when people come to our retail store, because we're allowed to have immediate feedback because they're trying it then and there, that enables our company kind of serves as a test kitchen. So we're able to tweak and kind of pivot if we're like, you know what, this isn't working for this market before we like launch nationwide. We were able to do that with our retail location. So now that we are branching out into nationwide shipping, I think that will give us an even stronger advantage because more people are going to be able to try our product. And the partner that we are using for the nationwide shipping is actually a company that has an extremely strong online presence already. So the people, and they have a very strict also selection process to the food merchants that are on their website. So the people that do go to the website, because it's already vetted, they're comfortable trying new brands. And because we're going to be on there, I think it like opens not only the palette, but opens the eyes to other people to explore our brand.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. That was very, very interesting. And oats, indeed, in terms of scaling and you didn't talk about impact on the environment, but that's something that I look at quite a lot, and clearly oats are very appealing. One thing good to talk about is, In terms of pricing and differentiation, when you think about scaling, how do you think about that?
Did you say scaling in terms of?
Yeah, in terms of pricing, the cost of producing, and how do you compare versus your main competitors and the main ingredients, etc., etc. So a little bit all encompassing on the P&L, but if we could understand that a little bit, that would be great.
Sure. So right now we have around a little more than an 80% profit margin. In terms of how we compare to other brands on the market, I would say premium brands go from around $9 to $15 for a pint. So we are on the higher end of that spectrum now. And when I'm talking about premium brands, I'm actually talking about the dairy ice creams on the market. What we've seen, especially in the United States, people are willing to pay a premium for premium ice cream brand. And when I say premium ice cream brand, I'm talking about lower overrun, higher quality ingredients. And they've done that in the dairy section, but I've noticed, and we've noticed as a company, that for non-dairy ice creams, there's actually no scale as to determine if the non-dairy ice cream you are buying is premium, super premium. So a super premium would be something that has like less than about 30% or less overrun, and that has to do with the creaminess and the density of the product. So when you use lower air, that means you're actually getting more ice cream. And what other companies will do, they'll pump it full of air, so you're actually eating mostly air and just only a few, not a lot of ingredients. So because we do consider ourselves a super premium brand and we are going to be marketing that way, I think we can command that higher price.
I have a question. Well, first of all, thank you for the amazing presentation and for targeting a very delicious dessert that I've been craving for a while. So hopefully I'll get to try yours. I'm not familiar with how many SKUs, brands exist in the space in the US. I mean, just on this online summit, we've had another presentation already about a non-dairy ice cream, and so do you have an understanding of the scale, the market sort of footprint? For example, I'm in London, and I can tell you categorically, you can go online and get 100 different options online in London. So
yes. So I think what differentiates us from pretty much majority of the brands on the market is the fact that we are not nut-based. Because so a competitor will usually, if they even say made with oat milk, or because they're using oat milk kind of as a marketing tool, because oat milk skyrocketed, especially in the US. Currently, it's oat milk and coffee and oat milk and oat milk ice cream. But if you actually look at the ingredients people are using, it's not purely oat milk. They always have a blend of cashews, so that makes it inaccessible for people who have nut allergies. And not only that, our target market is actually the regular dairy consumers, because we know that people who are already living the plant-based lifestyle or transitioning to the plant-based lifestyle, they're already doing their own research, and they're going to find us. They have no issue finding us. It's the regular dairy consumers who do not want anything that doesn't taste like what they're already used to. That's our target market. And right now on the brand, there's nothing on the market right now that is made with oat milk that mimics dairy.
All right, I'm going to just chime in for Jewel. She sent her questions to me from Berlin.
Okay.
So her questions are quickly, what has your pivot been because of COVID? I'm assuming there has been one. And then what is your most innovative marketing strategy so far?
So we started in a food hall last year, and because there was demand for the product, we actually opened up our brick and mortar February of this year. So we opened at the end of February, and then that's when the pandemic hit. So we immediately were mandated by the government. We had to shut down. So at that time, we actually didn't have any type of delivery system set up or local delivery. All our products were based on customer interaction. They had to come into the store to pick up and try our product. So not only did we have to implement like delivery services, which we were going to do eventually, but everything kind of got sped up. So we ended up doing that. And then now that's why this month we're also doing nationwide shipping, starting that to get out to the masses, because if we have to go to another quarantine, we want to make sure that people are able to still access our product and also build that brand awareness. In terms of brand awareness, we use social media. That is basically our main marketing tool at this time. We have been able to grow organically, and the marketing budget that we do have, we have done amazingly well. We contact social media influencers, they try our product, they love it, and then everything else has been Google reviews, Yelp reviews. People are like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. We have people coming into our store that don't even know we're vegan, and they've been there several times, and they bring other people. So that's very important, because that's who we want to get, because we know like once people try it, they're going to come back. So it's just getting it into the hands and getting it into people so they can try the product.
Amazing. All right, Courtney, thank you so much. We may see you again soon.
Excellent
job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. We have our fourth pitcher coming up, and just as an FYI, in order to make sure that we're getting Jules' questions in, I'll pop up towards the end of these next two and ask some of her questions. So, Aki Kaltenbach, let's bring you up all the way from my motherland of Canada. Aki, I will let you take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. Great. So, yeah, my name's Aki Kaltenbach, and I'm the founder of Save the Seafoods. So scientists are predicting that our oceans will collapse by the year 2048 due to overfishing and pollution. But imagine a world where we no longer need to kill fish to enjoy seafood. Save the Seafoods is a plant-based seafood company, and our first product to market is a vegan smoked salmon made from carrots with a similar smokiness and texture as salmon lox. We launched last year and are currently available in 40 retailers across British Columbia in Canada. Since launch, we've had people from across North America asking where they can find our product. We've confirmed there's a demand, and now is the time to grow. And the timing couldn't be better. So annual sales of fish substitutes in the US in 2018 was only 10 million, but that's because the plant-based seafood market is so new. But one only has to look at the alternative meat market to predict the future. Plant-based meat is currently worth 900 million. It's predicted to grow to 140 billion in a decade. Plant-based fish is the next frontier, and the total global seafood market is worth 500 billion. The total global smoked salmon market is worth 9.5 billion. The U.S. smoked salmon market is 175 million, but in Europe, that's where the huge opportunity lies. It was 4.2 billion in 2018. Oh, sorry, next slide. So despite the market opportunity, the plant-based seafood market is vastly underserved. On the left are some of the leading players in the plant-based seafood space. There are obviously many more than this. Good Catch, Sophie's Kitchen, New Wave Foods are some of the ones that I'm sure we've all heard of. But to be clear, our main competitor is the smoked salmon industry. So our go-to-market strategy in year one is targeting food service and natural retailers across Canada. To give some background, prior to COVID, our go-to-market strategy was solely focused on food service. But when coronavirus shut down all restaurants, we had to pivot and started targeting natural retailers and have been seeing great success here. So we'll continue this strategy until restaurants are ready to incorporate new products on their menus again. Year two will see us expand to the west coast of the US, as well as a second plant-based seafood product. Year three will see us expand to the rest of the US and launch a third and fourth plant-based seafood product. Next slide. So our marketing strategy is to educate customers that there is a viable alternative to salmon lox. This will include extensive sampling, influencer marketing with celebrity chefs and plant-based influencers, B2B PR, and participating in trade shows such as Expo West. This is our team. I'm the CEO. My experience in the food industry runs deep. I ran my family's Japanese restaurants for many years and here developed and launched multiple vegan products after going vegan myself. Prior to this, I was an early employee at Hootsuite, a social media company based in Vancouver, and saw the company scale from 100 to 1,000 in 4 years. Amy Greer is our head of production. Prior to this, she helped scale production at a plant-based cheese company based here in Victoria, Canada. Sarah Bird is our head of sales. She was the national sales manager at Daya for over 7 years. Yula Zhu is our food scientist, also experienced with R&D and QA at Daya. And one of our advisors is Jason Stefanko. He was the executive chef at Gardein for many years and is now a plant-based culinary consultant and has advised many food and beverage startups. So we just closed our pre-seed raise. Our goal was 350,000. We ended up raising over 500,000. Investors include Allwyn Capital and the co-founder of Daya. Proceeds will be used to purchase equipment to increase production efficiency, invest in sales and marketing, product development, and also secure a co-manufacturer that we can transition our production to so that we can scale more quickly. You know, feedback from chefs and customers alike has been phenomenal. They love the taste, they love the texture, and they love the fact that it's made from simple ingredients. And this will be key to our product development moving forward. The product is also incredibly versatile, and we've seen it used on everything from bagels to pizza to pasta to sushi. So the plant-based market is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. We have the product, we have the team, and we would love if you would join us in our quest to build a global plant-based seafood brand. Thank you.
I love that, Aki. This is such a big problem, and I love that people like you are finding big, bold solutions for it. And great job on the presentation. My question has to do more with your future innovation pathways and how do you take what makes you different and great today and how do you expand that into future products? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, and so what I would say to that is food service is going to be a key solution to that or key differentiator for us. And before COVID, we were seeing a lot of traction with restaurants. I can speak from personal experience. It is there are very few alternatives for restaurateurs to serve to their customers, and this is what drove me to create Save the Seafoods in the first place. And so by creating products that are also available in retail, but also available through the food service channel is going to be key. And key in our product development as well. So the products that we develop will be suitable for both channels.
Got it. And in terms of products, like do you envision going into full fish or always more of the sliced products? Any thoughts there?
Yeah, it's such a great question. So the one thing that will, and I mentioned this, is the fact that we're made from simple ingredients is key to our product development. And so that will definitely guide our choice in the next products that we make.
Got it. Thank you.
Welcome, Jewel. We can now see you.
Thanks. Yes.
I feel like, Jewel, you should be able to ask questions. You've been to
That's right. You get the next 25 minutes. Just all to yourself.
Apologies. I don't know what's happening here, but what I wanted to ask you was, in terms of your go-to-market strategy, but what is the differentiator that you think that you have from other vegan seafood companies? Because I've seen a lot of these companies kind of pop up. And so I want to know what's your differentiator in terms of your go-to-market strategy other than, obviously you already have secured financing, you know how you want to use it, but what's going to make you really different than what already currently exists?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So I think, again, the food service piece is a key piece. It's part of our marketing strategy. And when I say food service, I don't mean private label. I mean branded food service. So, our vision is to be in every Starbucks across North America. That would be our A&W. But So that's one piece. The other piece is, leveraging our first to market advantage. We are not the first plant-based smoked salmon. There are other products out there, but we are the first plant-based smoked salmon in BC. And again, our product development will be driven by not launching products that aren't already in market so that we can really leverage that. And that actually comes from, so as I mentioned, one of our investors is the co-founder of Daya, and this was Daya's strategy, launching products that didn't exist because it is much easier to get into market when you're first to market.
When you say products that don't exist, can you give an example?
Plant-based lobster, for example.
Okay.
Wait, is that in the pipeline? Can I fly over tomorrow and try it?
As soon as it's ready, I will send it on over.
Great. Do you have any timeline in mind?
I mean, so I literally just closed my raise, and that was definitely part of it. We are, Jason Stefanko is helping us with that product development. And I was like, we started it yesterday, it's definitely a priority.
Well, you mentioned the raise was 500. Are you comfortable mentioning what pre-money valuation it was at?
Yeah, 1.75 million.
Thank you. And in terms of sort of what you're focusing on is R&D and sales and product development?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And so I don't know if you caught that piece, but we are producing the product ourselves at the moment, but the goal within 6 months is to transition to a co-manufacturer.
That's kind of the opposite of what most people do. I noticed you said, in February 2021, you're going to do, you're going to go for a co-packing facility. Are you sure you want to do that? I mean, we've heard today from a number of people who have outsourced and got their recipes ripped off and stolen and whatnot, which kind of is scary, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I mean that terrifies me. I think, but as she mentioned as well, there's pros and cons to both, right? And if we need to leverage our first mover advantage, we need to move fast. And 500,000 is not going to build a facility. I think that's just the reality. Never saying, would we ever bring production back in-house? I would love to do that. So that's always an option down the road.
But Canada has the government has a lot of financing available, I think, for companies such as yours. I mean, wouldn't you also want to consider getting some of the startup entrepreneurial funding that the government is offering to support like innovative products and such as yours? I mean, I think that could be a way for you to make sure that you can maintain your IP and kind of what you're trying to do and actually kind of really go to market a lot faster and also not necessarily have to worry about kind of like the VC and the equity parts going away. So what's your strategy in terms of aligning with the government?
100%. And that is the beauty of Canada. There are so many grants and financing options, of non-dilutive financing options available to Canadian entrepreneurs. And we are already taking advantage of that. Even to find a co-manufacturer, we have secured a grant to help fund that process, because even that process is not cheap. So yes, to answer your question, we are taking advantage of these grants, but we're just not using them to build a facility.
If I can go next, thank you very much for this. I really like the simple ingredient, and you mentioned that quite a few times. When you think about your IP, I guess two questions. Where is it? Is it in the ingredients? Is it in the manufacturing? And then in terms of how your product compared to the alternatives on the market and fish in terms of nutritional description, etc., etc.
Yeah. So to answer your first question, the IP is currently in the marinade. However, the plan is to eventually create IP in the production process. As we scale, because obviously the way it's produced today will not be the way that it's produced once we transition to a co-man. Your question regarding how it compares to other plant-based smoked salmon products and the real thing. So I would say our point of differentiation is the flavor piece. That's, I come from a restaurant background. Jason, one of our key advisors, is a chef. It doesn't matter how much it looks like it or has a texture like it. If it doesn't taste good, then customers aren't going to want to eat it. So the flavor piece is definitely an important differentiator for us. And that will drive our product development moving forward as well. So we come from it from a slightly different, and I've been so inspired by, all the scientists in the room. We're going flavor first, and creating the texture and the look. Of course, it's just as much of a priority, but flavor is key. I think I answered all your questions. I'm sorry, there were a few in there.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And maybe one last one in terms of health elements. How do you look at the healthy part to it? Sorry, Jennifer, are we running?
No, I just pop on at the very last minute. That's all. Continue.
I can answer that question really quickly. So currently, the nutritional benefits of the product are just what you get from carrots, which is essentially vitamin A. We're in the January. We have plans to launch a new formulation with a proprietary omega-3 nutritional benefit in there, so that we can compete against smoked salmon. And we'll continue to iterate on our current formulation so that we can compete against smoked salmon.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aki.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So there's some pretty exciting people that have been watching these pitches. So we have Shamasuka Lee in the backstage. She's been watching. And we also have Miyoko Shinner, who has been watching too. Miyoko, please make sure you refresh your browser. You have been so intently watching, you're not answering your phone. So, okay. With that subtle messaging, let's bring up our last pitcher, Astrid Prijago, joining us from China. Astrid, let's bring you on up. Okay, we've got Astrid. I am going to go away for 15 minutes. Let's bring up her deck. Good luck.
Thank you, Jennifer. Hi, good morning from China.
Hello.
My name is Astrid. I'm founder and CEO of How Food Shanghai. We're making this plant-based chicken chop that is very tasty, healthy for both our body and our environment. My story journey begins when my daughter was 10 years old back then. She was 10, little girl, and then she suddenly told me, "Mom, I want to give up meat." As a mother, I feel very proud of her because I know she's doing the right thing. But I feel so many sadness as well because I often saw her crying, missing her comfort food. Especially when we're walking outside KFC, she'll cry and hold on her hand to me. "Mom, I miss KFC so much, but I cannot eat my friends." From that moment, I learned the hardest part when we're giving up meat is when we miss our comfort food, simple food but comforting for us, such as fried chicken. Next. And if we talk about chicken is actually the fastest growing type of meat for the last 50 years. Chicken is very popular, and one of the most popular way to cook it is making it as a fried chicken, where in Asia, it has a huge market, $2.4 billion. Right now in China, 62% of consumers are looking forward to try plant-based meat because they are looking for a healthier option for their body. Next slide. The last spring and summer, we've talked with so many chefs and consumers in China to understand what is their current pain points from every available product in China at that time. So first, it's all about texture. Texture is extremely important for Asian cooking because for us, Asian cooking is heavily relies on sauces and spices. Therefore, when we eat meat, it's all about mixture for everything. And then in China, we eat tofu in everyday basis, like really, really every day. Tofu, and it's all of its derivative. It's our love. So they expect plant-based meat must have a different experience from tofu and all of the derivatives, as well as pricing. Although they expect the price to be more affordable for everyday basis. Next slide. Therefore, we are very focused in developing our chicken to get a very beautiful texture that is fibrous and rich, and it doesn't have any tofu-ish experience at all. Next slide. The reason for that, the secret for that, we have our own proprietary technology and formulation that now are ongoing for patents for preparation with peanut protein as our key ingredients. Yes, you hear it right, peanut. In China and in Asia in general, allergen level toward peanut is extremely low. In fact, in China, peanut oil is one of the most popular and everyday used cooking oil. Second, we have also the modified extrusion technology for textured vegetable, and as well as the binders technology. Next slide. We will redefine fried chicken with a better health for ourselves and a better health for our planet. One of the key features that we're really proud of, because we're using peanut, then we can offer 20% higher protein compared to the real chicken itself, and very high in omega-3. Next slide. This is the competition pretty much in the market. We're the first one and the only one who make that big chunk of plant-based chicken cutlet, and because of the use of our technology and choice of ingredients, we can lower the price of our product, becoming very low compared to the others. Next slide. Today, we just start our journey. We're making chicken chop, plant-based chicken chop for fried chicken. But along the way, we will keep innovating, making every part of chicken, every type of chicken meat, until at the end of the day, we can make the whole full chicken. Yes, we are planting the happiest chicken on earth. Next slide. Consumer will be able to enjoy our product in Friars Food Services 1 month from now, starting from January 2021. Our key strategy to co-partner with food services is to menu co-creation and co-branding. So they just need to see our logo, and there we go. On the later stage, we will also go to e-commerce and then as well to retail supermarket directly to consumer. These 4 restaurants on your right are amongst Shanghai's most popular restaurants. There are more than 100,000 restaurants in Shanghai, by the way. And next slide. We also have more than 100 restaurants lining up to try our product, and they're very excited to bring our product into their menu to menu co-creation. Next slide. The most common feedback that we got from restaurants are our product is very different, very surprising, beyond expectation, and very innovative. They expect this innovation will help them to win the hyper-competitive restaurant industry in China. Next slide. Yes, I'm Astrid. My experience is more than 17 years of entrepreneurship experience, always focused in gastronomy, nutrition, and healthcare. Along with my partner, Professor Shoei Liu, who has more than 30 years in food science, experience in food science. He is Chinese senior food scientist with key focus on extrusion technology and food safety. And then Jenny Chu, she's a well-rounded finance person for the last 20 years in Friars China Food Services Company. And Cassie Chen, who has deep experience too in restaurant business as well as vegan food business development. Indeed, our team are mostly female. Next slide. We do understand that many of us are longing for healthier options for ourselves and our planet. That is why we are here with you and supporting you on this very transformative journey through preparing a tasty and nutritious alternative chicken protein. Thank you.
Thank you, Astrid. Your passion shines through, and your experience with your daughter was quite touching. Wanted to ask you, and maybe I missed it, but what are the ingredients, and how do you ensure sort of sustainability in your ingredient sourcing?
Our key ingredients is peanut protein. But aside from that, we also have corn. We have corn, potato, algae, and then corn, potato, algae, the flaxseed oil, soybean oil, and canola oil, as well as Caribbean. Pretty much, we don't use any new or novel ingredients. We're using what is available right now in the market, so we can secure always the supply chain. But our approach is rather to deep dive, finding the underutilized, the unpopular ingredients, but the volume is already big out there, so we can secure our future as well.
Got it. Thank you for that. So under 10 ingredients, but did I hear you say algae?
Yeah, Caribbean. Algae, Caribbean.
Interesting. And how does the nutritious sort of composition compare with others?
Nutritious composition in terms of cholesterol free, of course, in terms of cholesterol free, lower calorie, and then for protein, we are higher than chicken itself because we're using peanut. And then we also very rich in vitamin E, fiber as well, vitamin E, fiber, and then omega-3 because we have flaxseed in our product.
Thank you. And what about your pipeline for R&D?
Oh, we already finished our lab formulation, and now we are already on the OEM, on the co-manufacturing, scaling up our formulation and ready to hit the production button.
Mm-hmm. I have a question. You said that you basically are partnering, your channel is to partner with a lot of the different restaurants, and obviously there's a lot of chains and things like that. And then later you're going to potentially offer this online. I mean, are you thinking about like Alibaba? I mean, or what are you thinking? And then also what are some of the limitations or some of the hurdles that you've had to overcome or that you're experiencing right now at this stage in your business?
Okay. Right now, our channel, yes, thank you for the question. Right now, we are still really focusing to the food services first, because as I mentioned earlier, even in Shanghai only, we have 100,000 different restaurants where 20% of them at least serving chipai or fried chicken. So the market is huge there. We're tapping on that, and once we are more stable, we're going online into Alibaba platform, our first choice, Tmall, and then after that we're going also for Taobao. But most important, we will once we're there, we will hit to Hema. Hema is the O2O supermarket. O2O supermarket by Alibaba. Aside from once we clock with all of Alibaba channel, then we can go further to other e-commerce channel, to JD and everything else.
Thank you.
That makes sense, and great job on that presentation. So I had a question similar to Jules, actually, on the product itself from a consumer product market fit, because one of the things that we hear pretty often with chicken alternatives is that people consider chicken to be healthy, so it's a harder sell to then say, no, you need to eat the plant-based because it's healthy. Well, I already consider chicken healthy. So what have you heard from consumers, or how have you tested this product for consumer market fit and demand?
Okay, so luckily, we don't have a comparison between white meat and red meat in China, especially. It's not that significant compared to what is it on the West. The comparison would be: is it pork or is it is it pork or is it chicken? And right now, what we're trying to, our first step is going to the junk food chicken. So that's why we're trying to, that's why we are giving a better alternative of fried chicken. Comfort food for everyone, but healthier, better. So that's our entry point.
Thank you.
Astrid, fantastic job. I think having a good chicken alternative is, as you rightly say.
Can I ask one more question?
Of course.
So obviously, for example, in Singapore just approved kind of an alternative chicken a couple of days ago. So how do you plan on trying to, kind of remain competitive with that? Because obviously we know that these like alternative meat products are getting approval over, kind of in the Eastern sphere. So what's your strategy to kind of also like expand beyond just China, or kind of be more diversified in the markets kind of at the same time, so you just don't kind of get like, I know China is huge though. I've spent lots of time there, but because obviously this is big news right now. It's all over the news what has happened in Singapore with that approval. So what are your thoughts on that?
Our thoughts on that, we're very proud with what's happening in Singapore as well. It's really exciting for us, But in China, we're still far from that. The regulation, the regulation part is not there yet. And right now, even in plant-based meat, it's still on the very early stage, I would say, in China. So yes, we're still doing the plant-based from plant, but along the way we will also go for hybrid, but always focus with chicken.
Super. Right. Thank you.
Let's just go to Regina's question. That'll be the last one. I think we have a delay between some of the judges, so Regina, please ask.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll be short, Astrid. I was just wondering, and you alluded to it a bit during your presentation, that you are in the process of really refining the extrusion and technology behind it. Your possibility to patent it and secure basically the approach you have with peanut protein. How far along are you?
We're this month we are submitting our patent, and the answer will be, we can see more progress, more signal on that by 6 months from now. But along the way, we understand that patent have the yes or no. Along the way, we keep improving, so we can see where else we can secure ourselves for that.
Excellent.
From which other side.
Thank you, Astrid.
Thank you,
look
Jennifer.
forward to potentially seeing you again soon.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Great job.
Okay. So we have the very exciting job to go away to the deliberation room. Yes, everybody, we're doing this like jury style. So everybody up here on the stage is going to pop off their cameras now and go deliberate off camera. All right. So I will see you ladies soon. Let's bring up the jury. All right, we're going to give it a second for everyone to pop on. Hello, Caroline.
Hi.
Hopefully, Jewel, can we get the camera working? We'll see. Mira is here, and Lisa, and Regina. All right, I know it's starting to get late. We got Jewel's camera and everything. She says to us in the back, she goes, but I put my best lipstick on. The camera better work. I hope everybody that's joining, by the way, knows, like, y'all, this is the first time I've worn makeup since like March. Okay. So I did it for everybody here. Okay. So maybe we'll go around the room. We'll start with you, Caroline, and then we'll go around. What did you think of today's pitches? What did you take away from it? What excites you?
It's just fantastic to see so many ideas and so many different ways of getting at tackling, ultimately the same issues, but from different angles. And I think what's really important is for everybody to work together, because to be able to make a real difference, everybody needs to work together. So giving the opportunity to women here to be able to bring this idea to fruition is fantastic. But seeing the energy and the passion of the women that we've seen, and we've seen 5, but I know there have been many, many more, going from textiles to like fish, meat, etc., etc. It was just great. So, I mean, we had an interesting conversation backstage discussing. Ultimately, like innovative ideas is what's key driver here, but that was really fantastic to see all of it.
All right, Jewel?
I think it was great to see the passion and the dedication amongst the founders. And it was also really good to see the diversity in terms of the different businesses and the initiatives as we're kind of embarking upon this vegan food and like repurposing of different elements and as plant-based food, plant-based fabrics, all this stuff. I mean, I think it was really great. I really enjoyed the scale and the scope, as well as like the different, the diversity amongst where everyone was coming from, and then also I would say the knowledge of what's happening out there in the industry, and just their willpower and their dedication.
Amazing. Mireille? We impressed you.
Concur with
I know
everyone.
we did.
What's that?
I said we impressed you. I know we did, and you see a lot of decks.
Yes, most definitely. I would concur with everyone's comments. I think what I love the most is that it's not just off the cuff people who are trying to come up with a genius $1 billion idea and try to go and sort of let's pitch it and market it and without sort of methodologically going through, okay, how do I implement this idea? How do I create sort of IP or create some sort of trade secret that I can then monetize? How can I solve the problem in a way without necessarily creating other problems? And it's all of that sort of consortium of thought processes that really, really impressed me today. So, yeah.
All right, Lisa?
Yeah, one of the conversations that we had in the first Vegan Women Summit that was so well done is this idea of big audacious goals, tackling big audacious goals and going after really big problems in the world and finding solutions for them. And I can say that we saw that today. We saw some very courageous, talented professional women taking on the big problems in the world. And so I loved just seeing them go after those really big opportunities and delivering those opportunities in a very well thought out, polished, professional way. I think overall, everybody that came across today just came across and left a very positive impression.
Regina?
Yeah, I totally echo what has been said already. I think it has been an amazing set of presentations, all addressing different problems with really well thought through solutions. What I think is also a common thread is that we are really seeing kind of the next level of innovation when it comes to clean label, when it comes to how can I be even more sustainable. What's kind of the next level that we want to achieve with a solution compared to what is already out there, right? I mean, ice cream, yes, we have examples, but what's the missing element? How can I improve on what vegan solutions we already have out there? And I think that's a very, very nice development. And I think overall it also ties back to Miyoko's comment, leading from the heart, being compassionate about your choices and drive it with the right spirit. So I think that has been shining through with every presentation. So I really enjoyed the pitch session.
All right, so I'm going to ask one last question, and then, of course, we will crown the winner. Let's go reverse order. We'll start with you, Regina. What are the few white spaces or big next things in plant-based? I've got 5 investors I'm speaking to, so I got to take a moment to just get that insight from you while I have you.
Yeah, no, happy to say that. And I think for me and overall, what excites us is to see kind of connecting more than one dot, right? To have solutions that cater to different elements, be it upcycling, for example, be that, improvement on nutritional profiles, be that smart ingredients that lend itself in a nice way so that you can get to a cleaner label, and really tying that into a nice innovation story that can scale. I mean, that's of course something that I think has to happen if we want to expand and grow the vertical further. And that's something that we love to support.
Lisa?
Yeah, for me, I think it's the whole idea of better than. I remember one person pitched me an alternative textural not protein, textile that was meant to compete against leather. And our question was, how is this like or not like leather? And they said, it's better than leather. There's no way for me to compare it to leather because we took all the things that leather doesn't do well and then we upgraded leather, right? So you can take a bath with this, you can throw it in the pool, etc. And so it's this mindset of we don't want to stop at mimicry. We want to really take it to better than. I love this idea of the chicken has omegas, just this plus, because then it becomes a brainless choice for the consumer. Why wouldn't you buy this? It's better than. And so this whole idea of really not delivering the goal isn't just for it to be exactly like meat or this and that. It's to be better because all those products have downsides. So really focusing on that better than.
Mirai?
It's more along the same lines of continuing to focus on the innovation engine and sort of what's next. And also, if you look at sort of ingredients, and I think that's sort of a big thing. How do we innovate such that we are removing sort of critical poisonous carcinogenic ingredients from our food ecosystem, if you will? And if you look at sort of, for example, sugar, well, that's plant-based, it's vegan. Do we really want to have more of that? Probably not. And I think science is pretty much confirmed on that. So how do we innovate such that we are using less sugar, different kinds of sugar? Can we use protein sugar? That kind of innovation, if you will, I think differentiates what the new white space would look like, I think.
All right. Jewel, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me? Okay. I think what's important is definitely the products that basically take into account the environment as well as all of humankind. Because I think the next level is obviously there's a lot of different products that are coming to market. Some are coming and popping up in different regions. So I think for me, it's really also important for companies to be aware of what the real competitive landscape looks like, but most importantly, take it to the next level. And is it a product that is accessible to all of society? I think sometimes what we get caught up in with innovations, we want innovative solutions to kind of disrupt and change kind of the traditional business models that have happened and that are happening. But we're still, and I'm seeing a lot of founders forgetting the space that it should be something that should be able to be retrofitted and inclusive of all folks, regardless of the age, regardless of their health profiles and things like that. So I think we need to make sure that we add those other elements as well. And this goes back to what Miyoko was saying in terms of compassion for everybody, not just compassion for the people that are in our lane and that understand what we're talking about, but making sure that it's something that's accessible and understandable for everybody. That's the only way I think we can really change and really create a sustainable food system, or also help engage and help people become healthier and happier.
Yeah. And Caroline, last thoughts?
Well, so I agree with all of that. I think for me, it would be making sure that there's a continuous improvement